Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper. And guys, welcome to part 6 in Flat Earth Under the Firmament. Today's discussion is going to be the 1,000-mile-an-hour spin of the so-called globe and satellites in space. Do they really exist? The answer to both of these questions is no, we don't spin at 1,000 miles an hour. No, there's not satellites in space. My next few moments spent with you is going to be to point that out so that you can do your own due diligence and research it. First and foremost, before I even get into this topic, I want to start hammering the science cult, also known as NASA, and all these other flunkies that out there supporting this. I want to first start hammering the science, because I've been fighting science with science, but I want to throw some scripture in on this until I can get around to the scripture series. Is that if we were spinning 1,000 miles an hour, there's multiple times in scripture that we, as Hebrew or Gentile, would have absolutely flown off the face of the earth. A good example of this is the sundial of Boaz. Hezekiah asked Yeshayahu, Isaiah, to ask the Most High Yahweh to make the sun go backwards, because it was a small thing for it to go forwards, but he said make it move backwards. So it moved backwards many, many degrees. The world would have had to stop rotation, go backwards. Okay? Secondly, we have the battle of Joshua in the battle against the Canaanites. He asked Master Yahweh to make the sun and moon stand still, I believe, in the valley of Ashelon, and was the name of the valley, and they stopped for about the space of a day. So that means the world stood still for a day. Literally, the day the world stood still. And yet nobody flew off it. Okay? But now what we're told by science, Satan cult science here, that good old boys at NASA have got together, they say that you're spinning 1,000 miles an hour when you get down to the equator. So the good old boy standing at the top here is not going fast at all, but as you get further down, you're spinning incredibly fast. Alright, well, let's take and get on a plane. Alright, the plane can only go 587 miles an hour, right? Alright, so we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. To confirm this, right here's one resource. This is from astrosociety.org. And the question, how fast are you moving when you're sitting still? Well, as you move closer to the equator, 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, so not making this up. Got multiple references in front of you here. All right, go check good old boys at NASA. All right. So my friend Bonafide Biker, a brother in Messiah, he sent me this information, and me and him reviewed it back and forth, and I agree with him completely. Is the more I look at this is a great example of it, is that if you take a flight from Charlotte to LA, the total trip is 6 hours 55 minutes, flight duration 6 hours 17. This is average thing. All right, well then coming back, 5 hours 41 minutes, 6 hours 18, and you're going from LA to Charlotte. Now, you might be like, well, what does that matter? Anything? Actually, let me pull this back up so you can see the first one while I'm talking about this. That way, I might have pulled that down too fast. Is that going one way, you should be astronomically faster. I mean, you should be there in no time at all. Yet returning, it should take you longer. But yet, there's hardly any difference at all, maybe an hour difference, and that may be the layover, short connection layover, So the thing is if it was spinning 1,000 miles an hour, you're not going to make up the difference with a plane that can only go half that speed with just a little plus change. Okay, you're going to be upside down. Now I brought that up in the same video for this to roll over into satellites, because what's going down right now, for those that are not in the know, is Google Loon, which is putting balloons in space to give internet to everyone, because we need everyone to understand that there's satellites in space, and the only way we can fill the gap is to throw balloons up in there in the 20th century. So what it really boils down to, for those that are not in the technical world, because now as an off-grid contractor, I'm in the world of tech every day. People got to have communication, power, the water, everything out there off-grid. What this boils down to is, if you scroll down to this point here, is that uses a communication technology, LTE. Well, now anybody has a cell phone, all right, this is what's going down. This is going to be the stopgap and fill in where the towers, the cellular towers and all those things can't reach. Okay, if you're ever out there using your GPS and it's like, well, GPS ain't working. Well, that's global positioning system, not global positioning satellite. But most people think of GPS as, satellites. So what this is going to do is stopgap that and fill it in. So not only for all of us good folks that have internet, but for those people around the world that don't have internet, they're going to think, hey, satellites really exist in space now. And this is just filling in the gaps. Okay, because one, there's not satellites in space. Now I'll get into that in just a minute. But if you want further information on Google Loon, two resources I would suggest to go to is Wikipedia and read up right here. I'll put all these links and stuff, video description below as always. But secondly, there's a great video that just got produced the other day that Jeranism produced. I've not got to watch all of it yet, but I come across Google Loon, and then, of course, if anybody does their diligence and starts searching Google Loon, you'll come across some great flat earthers laying the hammer down on it right out of the gate. And I haven't had a chance to sit down and really put all my notes together yet until now to present this, but that's one that you should definitely watch, and I'm going to watch the rest of it here just as soon as I get a chance to be freed up. Now, I don't know why my search history won't save some of the videos I watch. I don't know if it's because of YouTube. I watch it on my phone too on the go. But anyway, some videos that you need to watch is this one right here. That's got some great examples in there that here you are, you're getting up there with rockets, you're getting up there with weather balloons, and you don't see a single satellite in space. Now, I know most people are going to be like, well, they're up higher. Well, don't wait a minute. Some are low orbiting satellites. I mean, very, very low according to the terms that they're laying out there as far as heights off the atmosphere and all these things. So, in other words, you should be able to see them in the distance at that point. This is another one I would encourage you to watch right down here. All right, well, anyway, if you look at a map like this right here is a layout of all the satellites that are so-called orbiting the Earth. This is a CGI rendering example. But what you need to take and glean from this is that any critical thinking man, woman, child, old or young, you would have to think to yourself, I just watched a high-altitude weather balloon go miles and miles and miles above the Earth. Yet, from the view camera up there, and being able to see from horizon to horizon, practically, I don't see one satellite cruising by, or I don't see anything. I don't see nothing. And yet, when I do see something, I see the moon and the sun, and they look really, really close to Earth. It starts debunking this whole thing that there's satellites in space, because one, folks, they can't get past the firmament that's set above us by Master Yahweh. It's not going to happen. All right, now, the other thing, when I saw this thing the other day, it was like I guess it was a clip from The Simpsons way back in the day, and it showed them hitting a ball, and it went up and hit the sky, and it cracked a piece of glass, and water flooded down. I mean, it's like, man, the subliminal messages in cartoons and stuff, I seen, it's crazy. But anyway, one other thing is now, for those that just cannot get the fact that satellites are out of their head, I want to show you this, connecting the continents. You would ask yourself, well, how do they get internet around the world and all this stuff? Well, for one thing, there's undersea cables. Here's a good example right here. This is just like a cutaway of Europe. There's all sorts of undersea cable connecting the continents. Here's another example. All over. So you have radio communications, you have land-based communications, you have ocean cabling connecting the world. The thing that's going down is, the awakening is taking place among humanity. People starting to ask questions, and so the stopgap for that is, we got to get balloons, we got to get something up there that's going to stay up there for a while. See, they can only keep these balloons up there for like around 100 days, even with that. So they're in the crosshairs now of we've got to make this happen and get communication around the world, because we're supposed to have all these satellites and things up there, and yet we got nothing. And it's coming to the point when you're driving down the road, even an American citizen, and you drive past the cellular tower, and then you get a little ways down the road and the GPS goes completely out. You have to ask yourself sometimes, do we really have all the technology that they say we do? And the answer is no. and it's no. Now, a couple last things I want to share with you here before we end this video is that if you didn't catch the interview I had with Patricia Steer the other day, totally encourage you to go over there and check that out. She's a wonderful person, has a great heart, and she's doing a great job for the Flat Earth movement and waking people up. If you want to check that out, make sure to subscribe to her, and the link to it's in the video description below. And next topic we're going to have is about Antarctica, the edge of the Earth. I was going to do that for this part, but I decided to move it one more part back because there's a couple more items I want to share with you that I want to finish getting all my notes together. So anyway, that concludes today. There is no satellites in space, and we don't spin 1,000 miles an hour. And so, guys, I hope that's a help to you. Keep up the fight. Keep the faith. And until we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, as always, I hope you have a most blessed day in Yahushua's name.